Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Closer Encounters, the show where you, the listener, is also the guest. I am your host, Clarence Mitchell, coming to you live from somewhere in Minnesota. Closer Encounters is streaming live from Blogtalk Radio. We are also live on Facebook, YouTube, and Google Hangout. For all of our newest updates, check us out on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Closer Encounters Radio. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. Would you like to be a special guest on Closer Encounters? Or do you know somebody that would like to be a special guest on Closer Encounters? Then just shoot us an email at closerencounters.info@gmail.com. That's closerencounters.info@gmail.com. Have you ever witnessed a UFO? Or seen something that you just cannot explain? Or maybe you've had your very own closer encounter. You believe in the ancient alien theory? We talk about this and much, much more. If you have a story, or maybe a question that you would like to get answered, give us a call. The number here is 347-989-1008. Again, the number 347-989-1008. Give us a call here at Closer Encounters. I'd love to talk to you.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Blog Talk Radio, and we are back live once again here with Closer Encounters, the show where you, the listener, is also the guest. It's been a long time since we used this platform, very long time. I think the last one we did was back in December. As you know, we've had our difficulties, with everything we've been trying and doing whatever. And I switched platforms there for a while. I went with another outfit. Just recently, I had to discontinue that outfit, so now I am back with Blog Talk Radio for the time being, and we are also live on Facebook, streaming live. So, thank goodness I didn't really get rid of it. It's always a good backup, and hopefully, knock on wood, they got their things together here, and, things will be good. So far, I see we have Salvador Biscard with us. Hello, Salvador. How are you? Omar, he is going to be one of our guests. He's also live on Facebook with us, and I also have him queued up here on the Blog Talk. I see Tim Collard's with us on Blog Talk, and I'm not sure who the other one is here, but we'll get them all on here really quick. But I just want to get a shout out and hope, people are seeing this live venue, and we'll jump on here real quick. I've had a lot of people already commenting that they're going to be here and so on and so forth, so we'll do good. Hello to Sean Smith. I see he's in the house. I'm doing good, Salvador. Thank you very much. He's asking how I'm feeling. I'm doing a lot better. I am back to work full time. I'm still not running any marathons or doing any fancy dancing, but it is what it is, and but thank you for asking. Very good. Tonight's show is going to be about the Akashic Records. This was brought up in the Ancient Alien Theory group page here on Facebook, and I promised a few people that we would do a show about this, and not many people know what they are and whatever, but I'll give it here a few minutes and get some people round up. If you would do me a big favor, everybody that's on the live Facebook, if you would invite your friends while we're kind of monkeying around here for a few minutes. Invite your friends, share it to other groups or whatever you belong to. Put it on your timeline, whatever. I kind of like to get this out and let people know that we're back in action, and hopefully we can get some more viewers and some more comments, and it would be really cool. But I really appreciate all the followers that I have, and you guys are just awesome, and you stick with me. That's what's really cool about it, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. Like I said, we have Omar with us tonight, and with Tim Collard. I can't wait to get him on here. This is going to be an awesome show. So, alrighty. Quickly, I just want to run down Omar, who is with WatchersTalk.com. I also want to shout out to Neil Gar, who's with Portal to Ascension. He has been doing some tremendous work lately. If you catch that on Facebook and stuff, check it out. It's pretty awesome stuff. Leonard O'Neill, he is with OrionRising.com. He's been doing a lot of webinars here lately. He was down and out for a short time, but he is back on the line and back on air, doing pretty good. I watched a couple of his YouTube videos here the other day, and good stuff. So check him out. Dino E. Walt, he's with Paranormal Into the Night. That is also a Blog Talk Radio show. Pretty awesome guy. You want to check him out. J.D. Jeffrey, of course, with AncientAgenda.com. And we don't want to forget Jeffrey Boyd Jr., who is the head man there at Independent Research Society. That is on Facebook. Awesome person, awesome group. Good people to get a hold of. And, the list just goes on and on and on. And, of course, Closer Encounters there on Facebook and, with the Ancient Alien Theory group and all that stuff. So, and we appreciate everybody that follows us and, catches up on us and does whatever. You guys are awesome. And the questions are awesome. And, I hope that, we can keep people going here. So, pretty cool. All right. While I'm at it here, I'm going to bring in our guest here real quick, Omar. Let's get him booted up here. Hello, Omar. You with us, sir?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Hey, there he is. Very good. Good to hear you.
You got me there? Yeah, right on.
Cool. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to bring up Tim Collard here real quick. And let's see if we can get him up here. Hello, Mr. Tim. How are you, sir?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? I'm trying a new headset and an inline speaker and all that. Just make sure it's doing well and the volume is all okay and everything.
Absolutely. Clear as a bell. Sounds good. Sounds real good.
And there's a bell on this end as well.
There you go.
Am I coming in all right?
Great deal. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Fantastic. Tim, I don't know if you ever met Omar, or maybe you have here in the past on one of our other shows. This is Omar. He's with Watchers Talk at WatchersTalk.com, and this is Tim Collard, Omar, who's a good friend of mine who's been with Blog Talk for a long time on our show. So,
Hey, Tim, nice to meet you. How you doing, bud?
Hey, Omar. Doing well, man. I believe this is the first time that I've ever sat and chatted with you. I've seen your post a few times on Facebook, but I've never really had any interaction with you that I recall. But I love your insight and your vision that you have. I think it's very much a part of what this group is about, and I think I'm not speaking for everybody, but I think that's true for most people too. They'll find that you're well accepted here, and I can't express again how much I really love your insight on things. I really like that, man.
Thank you very much, Tim. I really appreciate it, and that's what really motivates me. Is the more I go out there, I feel like I have a responsibility to the people. I'm slowly unplugging myself, and the information that I'm finding, I just want to help, share that information and help enlighten some people, and along the line, hopefully enlighten myself too.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly. Because as we go, and I feel that we are kindred spirits. I really do, because I really understand what you're saying. What I've heard you speak of different things, emotionally, intellectually. The thing is that before I get too carried away here, I don't want to hit on too much all at one time, but I do share your enthusiasm and your input to opening up to other people and getting this out there and being. I like to consider myself as some type of a healer or a shaman in spirit. I'm not that way. I've never been called one or been officially labeled a shaman, but I have been tested and gone through very in-depth encounters with our spiritual side of here in this world, and it's interdimensional beings that exist among us, and it's part of what it brings about the Akashic Records, and what how everyone can tap into it, but it takes someone with a degree of you have to be determined in your heart and in your mind to have it work for you. But once you get your head, your ass, and your mind all, or your heart, your head, and your mind all wired together, you open up the access to it, and open up the ability to receive from there.
Right.
I've been in deep meditation. Clarence, I've come across so much different information on what we were speaking about
Right.
how the Earth does not orbit around the sun.
Right.
And I came across one. Now, y'all, this is something that I know you're gonna think that I've totally flipped my lid on this, but it's something that even Mikhail Hachikyo, what's his name, the Japanese astrophysicist, what's his name, Miko
Shiko, I believe.
Shiko, yeah, or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's with him and Neil deGrasse Tyson are, they're all those guys in that group. Well, he said this, that there is unequivocally no proof that the Earth rotates around the sun. That's just been something that's been put out there. You can't prove it, but you can't disprove it either, is what I'm saying. I don't want to jump the gun here and force my opinion on anybody, but I've been doing some in-depth what we call mental exercises,
right.
or what Einstein did, when he was coming up with his theories of relativity and changing the status quo. Well, this is changing the status quo too, so I want to be directed in the right way. So I have to keep my head, my heart, and my ass all wired together in the same way to get everything working right. To be right, you have to live right. You have to open yourself up to these channels and meditate in the proper way, and they'll come to you. All this information, and I'm not trying to make any for sure statement, but what I have coming at me is little statements like this one here from Micho saying that there's no proof that the Earth rotates around the sun, and I'm like, ooh,
Right.
Maybe I'm onto something here, but I've really been studying this.
Cool.
I have really been studying this, and I'm coming to a conclusion, man, that we've been ballyhooed and tricked into believing all these things as part of the programming that goes on, that keeps us from being able to tap into the Akashic Records, the Akashic Records.
Well,
that's right.
Because
yeah, it's very
you know
possible.
what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing.
Because once we're programmed into a way of thinking, that automatically shuts off the switch going to that channel.
Yeah.
You can't channel in that. When you've been programmed to, So I'm just, again, I'm having so much come at me at one time, and
Sure.
I had to really keep track of what's going on here, because there is a reason for this happening.
Right.
And a reason for me getting this message, and to have it go to my heart the way it has.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to disprove anything or to make
Right.
to make any huge statement or anything. But I'm onto something here that I'm like, guys, this is it. It's right here. I could prove it. I could prove to you,
Right.
without a shadow of a doubt,
Right.
that this is it. So it's just coming that way. It's
Cool.
something that's happening with me. That's why having this show and coming on here and speaking what I'm going through can maybe in some way help other people to channel and direct their thoughts and their,
absolutely.
their energies
Absolutely.
in that manner. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because this is something that we're not limited to just certain individuals have this. We all possess the ability to do this. It's just that we have to keep ourselves in tune with what's going on, and not getting too far out there, not getting too far carried away with our whimsical thoughts.
Right. 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 Well, for
That-
those
we have
that,
to-
yeah, I'm just going to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but for those that are tuning in and don't know what the acoustic records are, I'll give you a quick rundown. Basically, what they are, it's a compelling, or what is the word I'm looking for when you got everything together? Compilation. There you go. Of all of human events that's gone on, all the events, all your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and the intent of everything that has occurred in the past, in the present, and some say even into the future. It's quite a big hypothesis, I guess I would call it. And there's been a lot of study and research on it, and a lot of people talk about it. It's also quoted in the Bible, but they don't call it the Akashic Records there. It's actually called the Book of Life, which we'll get into that a little bit too, because we don't get a whole lot into religion, but being that it's in there, I'd like to keep it going. But it's not just in our Bible. It's in the Greek literature. It's in Mesopotamia. It's everywhere. Indian, writings and everything else. So the Kabbalah and all kind of stuff talk about it. So, but it's just in a different form or whatever, but the translation's all the same. The thing is about this, I want to point out also, and Tim probably knows more about Edgar Cayce than most people, but he was the one here in modern times that really brought forth this idea about these records, and how he could tap into other people's minds and actually go back and see their past and sometimes their future and whatever. But like I said, we'll talk about the book of life, in the Bible and stuff, and we'll go from there. But Omar, you got anything else to put in on that, or?
No, you pretty much said it all. It's the collection of the universal thought in the present, the past, and the future, because everything is happening all at once.
Right.
And that knowledge is stored in somewhere in this conscious universe that we live in, right? This I believe the universe is conscious when it was created. Back, some say 14 billion years, or some say younger or older. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
But the universe was born. Now you have to ask yourself, where was that universe born? And if that universe was born, then that means that other universes were born. You know what I'm saying? The multiverse, essentially. So the Akashic Records, the universal records, is just not limited to this universe. It's all universes, all densities, and all dimensions. It doesn't matter which one it is. You could be at 0 dimension, or you could be at the 11th or 12th dimension. All the records are stored in one place, and everyone has access to it, just like Tim was saying.
Now,
We are part of that conscious universe. We're part of that energy. So whatever knowledge that's stored out there, you automatically have it because you're part of that. And as we get further into the conversation, we'll figure out how one can access it, and it's quite easy. It's not that difficult. The more you tell yourself that, it's going to be really hard, then of course it's going to be really hard for you.
Right.
But if you get into a mindset of this is going to be simple, and just pay attention to what you're doing, absolutely, anyone and everyone has access to this.
I want to ask something real quick, too, while we're on this. I've been doing a lot of study on this for the last few weeks, to get my mind going on it and stuff like that. And I've mentioned these records, what we all have one time or another in our shows, but never really got into the in-depth part of it like we're going to do tonight. Here's the thing I'm wondering, too. Does your everyday conscience, your memories that you have, say, of bad things that you've done, I mean, everybody sat back and have some type of regrets, skeletons in the closet, so to speak, that kind of stuff. Things that you aren't real happy about or proud of or whatever, and whatever. Do you think that this is part of those records, or do you think this is something entirely different?
That is consciousness. That's your conscience.
Right. But is that still...
pertain to your consciousness, to your being of yourself. See, what we're tapping, what the Akashic Records taps into is all knowledge of all things, of all universes, of all dimensions. So, you could, I guess, narrow it down to one specific time, spot, place, instance within yourself, but for the most part, it opens up such a much more vast array of knowledge.
Right. Well, this should also, now correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this also goes back. Now, let's say that you were reincarnated. This also goes back to those lives as well, right? I mean, this isn't just the one you're in now.
In order to reincarnate, now this is something that I've come into really, really good grasp with. I'm not saying that we're all special or anything, but only those ones who reincarnate multiple times are what I consider to be true warriors, that we fight the good fight. They are fighters of the good fight. We're all part of the same, that same realm. In order to reincarnate, and each time we reincarnate, our souls become stronger and stronger and stronger. That when we get to the point to where we become consciously aware of our past lives, and what they really pertain to. Do we really gain that extra thrust, that afterburner, if you will? I experienced it whenever I tapped into it, and I experienced my past lives. It was like full on, baby. I mean, full throttle. I had more energy. I had more vim, vigor, and energy inside me than at any other time in my life, and I was in my 50s.
Wow.
You know, when I really tapped into it. So, you know, to really, I'm going into my 60s now. I'll be 60 this year.
Wow.
And so
I'm not far behind you, but yeah, go ahead. Let me ask you this: if those people,
just hang on 1 second. Just 1 second, Clarence. I was going to say your question. Your experience and your thoughts and your intent is projected into the universe. Now, depending whether those are positive, whether it's related to the positive energy or whether it's related to the negative energy, it's going to go out there. Now, if someone is in tuned or that energy is picked up by someone else, it amplifies. So that experience continues to amplify throughout the universe. Now, whatever that you're experiencing, that's the energy, that's a frequency in which you're tuned into. So you're picking up on that negative energy, or you're picking up on that positive energy. See what I mean?
But
you're like a radio tuner.
Right,
but
you're
like a tuner when you're tuning a radio. So if you meditate,
we have to tune into our frequency, our vibe.
That's right.
And so we.
But this is
we resonate at a certain frequency. Every individual has a resonance within us.
Right.
And some of us are tuned to different vibrations.
Now you have to remember when you're born.
Actually, frequency.
When you're born, there's crystals in your brain, and those crystals are connected to the Earth's magnetic field. Your thoughts that are connected. People are connected on this planet. Each and every single one of us are connected via the crystals in our mind, in our brain, and also the magnetic field and the resonance of this planet. So that's why some people are psychic, that were able to tune in and look at someone and be able to see what's happened in the future, the past, or in the present, because they're able to use that frequency. Their brains are more in tune, I guess you can say. The crystals aren't encrusted by the that stuff that they put in chloride.
Right.
Their pineal gland is more active, and that's how, because they're connected. Everyone is connected.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the knowledge of the universe and of this planet is stored. So if you want access to it, you just have to tune in. Literally, because you have an antenna in your brain. That's your pineal gland.
Right.
And with that antenna, you can tune into anything you want. But you're conditioned to believe that you only use 10% of your brain, that you've evolved from a monkey, and 90% of your DNA is junk, and that you're a slave. So as long as you continue to hammer that message home to the people are going to begin to believe that, and then and thus they're going to begin to behave in that manner.
Right.
That's why it's called conditioning and doctrineship, and it begins at home. And then at 4 or 5 years old, you get sent to the sausage factory to be fully assimilated, so that you forget on how to use the power that's within you, because the establishment is afraid of the power that each individual has, because they know the knowledge. They know what can happen. They would lose their power if everyone was able to use their brain. If everyone can use 100% of their brain, and they knew that they're an individual species on this planet, and they're having a human physical experience here, and their experience to have, then they're a powerful being, and they can't be controlled.
Right.
And this is why we're behaving the way we are. That's why they won't teach you about your pineal gland. They won't teach you about the crystals in your brain. They won't teach you the resonance of water. Just think, we're 90% water.
Right. Right.
Water can store a lot of information. How does a crow know to drop a seed in front of a tire in Japan, and that same crow or a different crow knows the same knowledge in California, right across the ocean? How does that, how is that knowledge transferred?
Right.
Because the pineal gland of the crow is connected with the planet, and they're able to transfer information back and forth. As one learns, the other one learns, and then the other one learns, and then that's how they've evolved, and they're one of the smartest birds on the planet.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's just for the crow. Imagine if we get us human beings all tuned together, get a group of us tuned together.
Well, that's what they work on. Yeah, I mean, there's groups out there that do that.
The afraid of that.
Yeah.
See, this is what the ancients did. When you look at an aerial shot of most of your ruins in throughout the Mediterranean area. I'll just use Mediterranean area for example right now. I can use other ones all around the world, but we'll just use the Mediterranean area. Okay, now these images. One thing that you see is the layout of the building's layout of the ruins looks very similar to a electrical circuit board. But then right next to that, in almost every case, not every one, but almost every one of them, there is an amphitheater right next to it. So what would happen is this is what I theorized. This is my theory of working on this. It's still in theory, but I'm definitely in tune with this. That what would happen is at certain equinoxes, at the equinox, summer and winter equinox, or spring and summer solstice, either equinox or the solstice,
right,
or both. These areas would open up to channels on the ley lines where they transmit and share the energy of the earth. Okay, at these points during this time of year, at the specific times of year, they fire the unit up and get it up and running, and the resonance of that lasts for 6 months until the following equinox or the next solstice, whatever they're using, whatever frequency of balance that they're using there. And, they don't. The energy stores up and is there for a while. It doesn't last forever. It dissipates after a while, and then it has to be recharged. Then you just get the people back together again, have a little concert going on or whatever, and have the frequency, the frequency, the vibration of the people within the congregation. The same thing the churches do. The same thing happens in church. One thing that I experienced in my life is that whenever I went to church, I was fascinated by the energy within the congregation. The bigger the congregation, the bigger the energy. I'm
absolutely
fascinated by that. What's going on there?
Right.
But see, you have in any group of people that you have that's all together thinking and reacting the same way, I found that you share that same energy. I went to a Metallica concert, and I experienced that same exact feeling in a Metallica concert, and I was like, what in the world is going on here?
Sure.
Then I started looking at it, analyzing it, really understanding what was happening. And what it is that when you get people all together and you get enough people channeled in that right direction and get that energy going in the right direction, you pick up on that energy and it becomes transformed into its own creature, its own thing.
Well, here's the thing that I wonder about, because, now that you mention
that today by their humming.
Right.
Yeah. It's the sound. It's the frequency.
That's right.
It's the sound.
They're creating the frequency, the vibration. That's our natural resonance. That's the first frequency and resonance that there ever was, and that is what we're created from, and that's where the knowledge of the universe is stored.
Well, wouldn't you think, though, that even the ancient tribal people would have the same thing? I mean, like our American Indians or the native.
For sure. But they wouldn't know. But they wouldn't really be aware of what it was they were tapping into. They knew they were tapping into the spiritual world.
I would have to disagree with that, Tim. I think our ancients knew far more than what we give them credit for, and these rituals, in fact,
I'm sorry, I don't
fully
mean to be...
understood
Yeah.
Right.
what they...
I didn't mean to be... Right. They could have, very much so. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I
generally
generally believe that they knew exactly what these guys were doing. Like, look at the things that they built, right? They were extremely mathematically inclined, astronomically inclined, and the things that they built were, just seriously out of this planet. And they knew far more than what we know today, the high advanced lost civilization that was just before us. They were so advanced that they annihilated themselves.
You see that at Mesa Verde and at Chaco Canyon. You see the work.
We have
of how
a buddy there right now doing a tour, Gary Davis.
Gary Davis, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, Gary Davis, he's there right now.
Yep, I wanted to be there and I missed it.
I think it was a 7-day tour. I just did an interview with him a week and a half ago.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing the summer solstice thing down there right now. Fantastic
Yeah, the
thing.
Chaco Canyon tour.
Yep. Excellent
Wow.
stuff. Well, here's the thing. Okay, when we're talking about the records themselves, now, like I said, I've been doing, here just in a few weeks, I've been really getting into this thing, checking it out, and I've gotten so much different intel on this, from shamans to psychics to just plain people that meditate, and also from preachers and priests and different other ones. I've gotten all kind of different information on it, and a lot of it's almost like, not all, I'm going to say some of them have no idea what the other one is talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a confusing thing for a lot of people, so it seems. And I get one person that says, well, we only have 5 or 6 dimensions. Then I get another one that say, well, we got 10 to 20 dimensions, and it's kind of troublesome to me that there isn't an actual layout of what the system actually is, or how it's broke down. Any ideas? I mean, oh, and by the way, those people, I was just going to say, the people that are waiting on hold, just hang in there. I'll get with you.
I'll say that it's multi...
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Omar.
I'll say that it's multidimensional, that we live in a multidimensional universe. But that...
well, I guess the big question is how many dimensions are there truly that you can tap into?
11. I believe it's 11.
You agree with that, Omar? Or?
I think it's 11.
Yeah, personally, there's no number. We can never know for sure. For me, dimensions work in the fact that it all depends on your energy, as to how old your energy really is, your conscious energy that you're made of. And, the higher it's evolved, higher in the dimensional level, close to the, cosmic energy, which is the ultimate, level of dimension, I would suppose. But I think it depends on our energies. There could be 11, there could be 20, there could only be 3. Who really knows?
Right. Well, here's my question about this.
Definitively answer that question.
Yeah, see, and here's the reason why I'm confused about this, because most of them say that you can only reach a certain level of the Akashic Records according to the dimension that you tapping into. So the deeper the dimension, or the more dimensions you get into, the deeper of the records you go. Well, my question is how deep are they, and how deep do you need to go? I mean, seriously.
Well, it's like I was saying earlier, Clarence. It's like I was saying earlier, when this universe was created, and there was that sudden spark of conscious energy that created this universe. We, you and I, everyone that's watching, listening, is part of that same energy.
Right.
So, some say we're 14 billion years old, so that would mean that our energy is minimum 14 billion years old, because that energy would have had to have originated from someplace else,
Right.
which possibly could be in the multiverse. So for me, the access to the universal records is that you're already connected to the universal record.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're already connected. So it's through your pineal gland and through your meditation that you can achieve that, that abyss, I guess, and then reach that level of that ultimate, knowledge as to where you can,
Right.
I can't really say, like you can access anything that you want, whether it's in this dimension, whether it's in this density or that density, or it's in this universe or that universe. It really doesn't matter. You have access to all of it because everything is connected, right? It's kind of like if you take a glass of water and you take a drop out, so the glass of water becomes one in that drop of water, and then when you add that drop of water back into the glass, the one becomes the whole. So essentially, our energy is like that,
Right.
Where either the universe becomes us or we become the universe, and that becoming the universe is that conscious cosmic energy, that cosmic knowledge and universe, not just cosmically here connected to our universe, I mean like in overall, because our universe has to be created somewhere, like a grape of, like a wine of, like a cluster of grapes, where you have one universe, another one, but it has a source because it's connected to that line, and then all that knowledge is stored right there. All those grapes have access to that same knowledge, and we're the same thing. That's where the records are kept. That's where the information is.
So do you believe in the theory of the Big Bang?
Yeah, I suppose the Big Bang could have happened when this universe was created. But what I'm saying is that that bang had to have happened somewhere, and where is that where?
Well, this is the theory that I've been working on ever since I was a little child, and my dad would have these conversations with me. And one thing that I have been studying, and I'll be 60 years old in December. So since I was for 55 years, I've been pondering these thoughts in my head. But this is one thing that that I'm gaining more and more understanding of, and that is perpetual motion. Motion that has got absolutely no beginning and absolutely no end.
Right.
That it's been going on for eternity. It will be continue going on for eternity. It's part of the interdimensional. When I have meditated on this and I have put my thought into this, it's come to this one thing that the reason why I say that it's 11 interdimensional universes that we live in is because I don't think you can fit any much more than 11 into it. I think you might be able to, but you'd be hard pressed, because at 11, okay, for each dimension you have a completely different set of guidelines. For one thing, all right. There is a master key to it, if you will. I'm just using that as a metaphor. But there's a key to it that will unlock all of them. That will unlock all the knowledge throughout all the dimensions. But you have to gain. It's like becoming a kung fu master.
Right.
You cannot attain that full knowledge until you have reached the point of the point of where you have that knowledge, that much knowledge, and that much information inside you. It opens that channel. But that's the key. That's one of the keys. There's other keys too that are.
But here's my question: is what does this knowledge do for you? I mean, this is the thing that I'm not really understanding, I guess.
Well,
I mean,
this is the knowledge that Einstein checked into. This is what Newton, Galileo, Leonardo da Vinci, all the masterminds of our known past, of our known existence, of our known human existence, they tapped into this, that at in each stage, we became a little bit more knowledgeable. We became a little bit more open to things. We became a little bit more, Einstein took everything from being all the study of physics went from Newton's law to all of a sudden they had to open up a whole new, you had a whole new set of guidelines to go by now, and that's what Einstein did. I think that along the lines that as we go, that we'll have other times too, but of other people and other players, other significant individuals who tap into the knowledge that opens things up, that provides an avenue for making life for us human beings that much better.
Sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just going to say, I wonder if this is the same knowledge that Adam and Eve tapped into that condemned them from the garden.
Well, yeah.
I was just going to say that knowledge is no different than a roadmap.
Right.
You are already equipped, right? You are already equipped with universal knowledge when you're born. Now, you're not going to, it's like your computer, right? You don't use the whole thing at once, right? You use different programs on it, different pieces here and there. You choose the information that you need at the moment. So, you're already equipped with that universal knowledge. And when you come to this planet, to this dimension, or into this density, you're choosing that to have that human physical experience. So when you get here, tapping into the universal, knowledge or the Akashic Records, essentially what you're doing is that you're looking for information, and that's going to make your life a little bit easier here on this planet, and possibly for somebody else as you go along. So now, the point of coming into this world is to come and have a physical experience, because in your natural state, your energy, your absolute pure light energy. So you're like that for, eons, and you get bored of that sometimes, right? And then you want to take a vacation, so you incarnate into this density and onto this planet to have that physical human experience, so that you can smell, so you can taste, so you can feel, because in your natural state you can't. So when you're here, you're just simply trying to make your life a little bit easier, and you're accessing that information so that, like I said, you can help yourself and other people that are around you. So, you're pretty much here on a vacation. If you're in your natural state, I'll emphasize again, in your natural state, your energy. And then as energy, you come here to worlds like this and have a physical experience. Now, it doesn't matter when you go. You can have it now, in the past, or the present, because everything is happening at once.
Right.
So you choose when you want to be born. You choose on the type of experience that you want to have on this world. Now, unfortunately, when you get here, there's a battle going on.
Sure.
Between the light and the dark.
Right.
It's a cosmic battle that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get here, the conditioning, I think, the reason it takes place, the conditioning that happens, and the doctrineship and the abuse that happens to you when you're born, especially nowadays, because a lot of these pedophilia rings are coming into light. So my hypothesis on that is that when you choose to come here to this world, you need your avatar, your body, to work correctly in order for you to carry out whatever goals that you have. Now, if that vehicle is broken, or it can't, attain the goals that you've set out for yourself, your energy, your spirit, your essence will abandon that body, and then that's leaving a shell. We still need to follow the laws of this universe, so and hence the body will continue to be. Now, these bodies that continue to be, these are the people that have no empathy. These are the people that don't feel for you.
Right.
These are the killers, the dictators, the rapists, the molesters,
right.
Because their bodies have been abandoned and inherited by the dark forces that are in power of this world. That's why this doctrineship begins when you're 4 or 5 years old. It puts you into school, and then they begin abusing you. Look how intensive the abuse was up until just recently, and it's still happening throughout the Catholic world. Look at all the priests. There's hundreds of cases with thousands and thousands of victims that these people were doing. Now, why did they do that? There has to be a reason. And I believe the reason is because they know that if they abuse the body long enough, that the physical, that light energy that's stored, that's using that avatar will abandon it because essentially it's broken.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, absolutely.
Right? You're not going to drive a car with 4 flat tires. If I asked you, hey, Clarence, I want you to drive to Florida in your car with 4 flat tires, you're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
And the spirit, your essence, your energy is asking your avatar that you've created from scratch, you're asking it to carry out a certain goal for yourself throughout the entirety of 50, 60, 70, 80 years, who knows,
right.
Whatever timeline that you've set for yourself. Now that timeline would be the linear timeline here in this time,
right?
Because beyond this, the time really doesn't exist. Time is different everywhere you go.
Right, infinity is infinity. Right.
So that's, I think, what's happening, and these bodies are being abandoned. Because when you're a light and you're pure love and you come to this world, why would you begin to behave in a dark manner, in a dark fashion, by raping and killing and stealing and molesting and carrying, doing horrendous things to other beings and animals included that live on this planet? It's not your nature. So when you look at those people are, their bodies have been abandoned long ago. And there's a different spirit, a different energy that's in possession of that.
You can almost look at them and tell.
And that's kind of like the Exorcist, where that exorcisms come from. We know exactly what's going on, but these people, they don't want to educate the public because again, if the public knew what they're capable of physically and mentally, then they would no longer have power over us. So, again, I'll hammer home that you are connected yourself to the Akashic Records. You are a piece of that. The one becomes the whole, and the whole becomes the one. So you have full access to it. It just takes a little bit of discipline and a little bit of meditation. Now, meditation is different for everyone. Some people can lay down and meditate. Some people can sit and meditate. Some people can walk and meditate. And then look at, North American shamans and, native tribes. They, bang drums and meditate around the fire to achieve that trance-like level. So when you're meditating, you're reaching that same thing. You're reaching that trance-like level where you can connect to the universe. So it doesn't matter on how you do it. You just have to find your own niche on how you are doing it. And that's right. And practice that every day. Practice it. Every chance you get. Practice, practice, practice. And eventually you'll begin to get these downloads. Just like people say, I received a download, I got this download, or I got that download, and you'll begin to receive those very same things because these people are practicing this very thing that I just said. Now, like I said, there's crystals in your brain, and those crystals are, they're connected to the magnetic field of this planet. Everyone's, all 8 billion of us are connected to that electromagnetic field around the Earth, and we have access to each and every single one of us if we choose it and if we practice it.
Exactly. Before we get going here, we have another caller with us. Tim, I think you know this person. This is a 918. I believe this is Johnny. He's been holding for a while. Hello, John, you with us? Hello? Johnny, you there? I believe this is your grandson, Tim.
John? Oh, 918. Okay, yeah. Oklahoma.
I think it's him, yeah. Anyway, he's been holding for a while, so he's probably... yeah. John, you with us? I hear him in the background. Okay. I'll just put him back on hold here. I'll send him a message real quick and tell him I'll pick him up. I also had a 757 caller, but they disappeared on me. So, if that caller would please call back, I'll be glad to take you on here. But keep in mind during our conversations, I don't interrupt, frequently, you know, and then we'll bring on who we got, and then we'll go from there. So just bear with us, folks, and, you know, we'll get you one way or the other.
Right.
But if you're just tuning in, the number here, of course, is 347-989-1008. 347-989-1008. I'd love to hear from you. Give us your insight, your input. Maybe some shaman would call us and tell us what's going on here. You know, I don't know. Would be awesome. But anyway, back to what we were talking about.
Clarence,
Yes.
I'm reading the comments here on Facebook, and Martina Vega, she asked, you know, do these abusers know they have been abandoned? You know, I would have to say yes. They're quite aware. They've inherited that body. Their actions are, you know, planned and executed. You know, it's not accidental on these things that these people do. So, yeah, I would say that absolutely that these people know that that they've inherited a new body, and these are, you know, I guess you can say demons. I hate to say demons.
Right. Well,
but,
call it like you see it.
The dark forces.
Right.
The forces
the dark
of the dark
energy.
side.
Yeah.
The forces
Because
of the
there's
dark
an
side.
equal and opposite to everything. The light has dark.
Right.
There's a male.
Yes,
there's a
there
female.
is.
As
Right.
above, so below. And each and every one of us have a duality and a polarity as well. Because when
Right.
we incarnate onto this planet physically, we have a choice whether we want to have our feminine side or whether we want to have our our masculine side.
Right.
The energy that we're going to use here on this in this experience. You know, so we're all dual.
Do you think that that is
so,
our choice, though? I mean, honestly, do you think that we choose that ourselves, or do you think that's given to us and we
think
got to
so.
deal with what we got?
I think so. No, I think we choose it ourselves. We're a conscious, independent, you know, conscious energy, and the actions, like for instance here in this life here right now, Clarence, everything that you do is planned, right?
Right, absolutely.
You're going to
Yeah.
plan on driving across the states. That's physically planned, and you're going to execute that plan.
Right.
So your energy is doing the very same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's saying, okay, I want to come here to this earth, and you know, I was born in 1975, so I'll use myself as an example. I said, okay, I'm going to visit the earth here in 1975 because I want to have the experience of the disco, and I want to have the experience of seeing humanity go into space and achieve color TV and internet and land on Mars, and that's the experience I want to have as a human being. On this is what I feel like. Kind of like, you know, Total Recall. You choose your experience.
Sure.
So as a conscious energy, you can choose to have an experience in the 1200s, or you can choose to have an experience in 3000. You know, because everything is happening all at once. You're just simply observing it and participating in it and contributing to it through your conscious thought while you're here. You're the universe come to, you know, that became physical.
So let me ask you this then.
Bugs, animals, birds.
Do you think everybody has to believe in reincarnation then? I mean, what about the
nobody
ones
has
that don't
to
believe
in
in
anything if they don't want to?
Well, no, I'm just saying as far
That's a choice.
as this goes, those that, well, okay, I guess let me put it a different way. For those that are atheists or, you know, don't believe in reincarnation or those kind of things, you know, down that line. I hate to get into the religious part of it or whatever, but you know, those that just think we're here and then we die or whatever. What happens to that consciousness? I mean, what? Obviously, they made a choice to be here or something, right? Or what?
That's just the conditioning of, you know, atheists are, you know, that's no different than a religion. You know, you believe the fact that, you know, there's no God. That is your religion. So, in fact, you're not really an atheist. You're just, you know, you don't agree with the line of thought of whoever is trying to teach you whatever. if you're, if you're Buddhist, someone tries to convert you to, let's say as a Jehovah's Witness,
Right.
you're not going to like that very much. And
Exactly.
You're going to denounce that, and you're going to
Right.
say, no, your God doesn't exist, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Right? So atheist is the same thing, and I call that conditioning, and that conditioning begins at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then from
Sure.
that conditioning, as people grow up, they get their own experiences and then their own experiences and their own line of thought as they progress through life, whether it be positive or negative for them. But, these people acquire this knowledge that they think is right, and, and you can't tell them any different.
Right.
So, in my opinion, they're all the same. So the way I'm thinking is that they need to be unconditioned and unplugged, and perhaps they might see the light.
Right.
And choose to think differently, and because anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
There is no God, as to the fact that there's a bearded white man sitting up in
Right.
the clouds pointing down at us.
Right.
No, such a thing doesn't exist. God is you.
Yes.
You are God because
Right.
you're part of that conscious energy.
Yep.
Akashic
We have
Records
the
is
particle
God
within
because
inside
God
us.
knows all. That's the definition of God, right? God knows all.
Right.
And the Akashic Record knows all thought, all information, everything is there, and that is God. And like I said earlier, you are a part of that, that universal cosmic energy that stores that knowledge, and which is God energy.
One
and
love.
you're just a
Yeah.
piece of it, like a piece of cotton candy.
Right.
You have a ball of cotton candy in your hand, and you take a piece off of it, that's you. And if you put it back, you're back to being God. Again, that goes back to, the whole becomes the one and one becomes the whole.
Correct.
So you don't need to worship, whatever human gods that there are out here, because they're all created as a control mechanism. Whether it's you don't believe in God or whether you do, they're both controlled, whether you like it or not.
Right.
It's it's like democracy and freedom. It's an illusion. You're being controlled. You only
Exactly.
believe what they want you to believe because you've been conditioned to believe that way.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Bad habit like smoking. If you can give up smoking, you can give up their line of thinking and begin to think for yourself.
Right.
They don't want you to think for yourself. They want you to be an obedient worker,
Mm-hmm.
just
That's
smart enough to run machinery, and that is it. And
Right.
not smart enough to ask questions because
That's
they
the
need an
truth.
obedient workforce.
That's the truth.
Exactly.
Hey, it looks like we got Johnny back with us. Let's see if we can get him back on here again. Johnny, you with us, bud? Hello? 981 area code?
Yeah. 918
918?
should be a 918 area code.
Yeah, 416.
I don't have his number.
Yeah, it's 416-1189 is what I got here, so I believe it's him.
Yeah.
Just not answering. Oh, Johnny, you with us? Nope, he dropped. Okay.
Johnny.
Yeah. No, he
Ah,
dropped.
well.
Oh, well, he'll call back. He's been trying, bless his heart, he's been on here forever, and I'm trying to get him on, but that's okay. We'll get it.
Man.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, whew, what a big open thing we got going on here. Okay, so, well, I mean, this.
How many hours do we have?
Well, we got about 1 hour left. Believe it or not, we're doing good. We're doing really good. But here's the thing about this whole records deal. And throughout my studies here and stuff, like I said, I've been digging into this like crazy for the last couple 3 weeks here, and stuff. And I found, like, even in religion, as it talks about like the book of life, there's different scriptures in the Bible that talk about it and different things like that. It even mentions in the Bible now. Don't get me wrong on this. Like I said, I'm just going to make a point here.
Which Bible, though? The Old Testament or the New Testament?
Well, it's the Old Testament, and I go by the King James Version. That's the version I've always used,
Okay.
whatever. The one verse that kind of gets me was in Revelations, and I got it wrote down here. Revelations 20, verse 15. I'll read it here. It says, "And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire." Okay, so this is telling me that not everybody has a record for whatever reason. and or
Well,
or the Bible is written by man, and I get this, and it's a scare tactic.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
It's a programming. It's a way of programming.
Right.
Without programming. You know what I'm saying?
But I have to throw this in here because this,
the mindset.
you know, it's all related.
The Bible
So
was rewritten. See, the Bible was a compilation of books that was gathered together by the noblemen from the king's court in Great Britain to go find the book, to go put together the book. So the book was the book that we read, the Holy Bible that we go by, the King James Version that we go by.
Right.
Being a Christians,
Mhm.
if you're Christian, you go by the Holy Bible. That book is a compilation that was put together to control the masses,
Mhm.
and that was the reason for it. Now,
Well,
there's
that's
no other,
right.
it had its ramifications as far as giving people the prominence and the omnibus of praying to God,
Right.
praying to their God, to God,
A single entity
God
or whatever.
the Father,
Right.
and the Lord the Son, the
Well,
Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
That's a trilogy.
Yeah, but see, I have to bring that up because
But
it's
a lot of it, it's in the Bible. A lot of things that we look at in the Bible, and we put a lot of thought into it, is nothing more than just the ancient way. Back then, back in those days, and even to these days, there was certain words and certain languages cannot be translated into English. There's words in Hebrew that cannot be changed into English.
Right.
There's words in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
There's words in in Greek. So there's oftentimes the rewording of words.
Well,
changes
obviously,
the context of what was being said.
Yeah, and
what was being felt.
I gotta
what was being
agree.
meant,
And,
yeah.
yeah, I totally have to agree with that. And not only that, but the Bible is a compilation of other,
Well, the
other
writings,
literature.
right,
right.
Absolutely.
When you continue
Now,
to
the
read
Old
that,
Testament-
Revelations 20, I believe Revelations 13, it says, and the sea gave up the dead that were in it, death and hate gave up the dead
Correct.
that were in them, and all were judged according to what they had done. Now, when you look at the word Hades, that word can be connected to Hades.
Right.
So, we have to look back, and this is far older literature that the Bible is talking about. Like,
Right.
there's a few books that they took out of the canon altogether, like
Mhm.
the book of Enoch and
Right.
the book of Ezekiel and
All
such.
of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
So whatever the
Mhm.
Bible is, you would have to research, its content,
Right.
a little bit more in depth before, you take it at face value.
Right.
Because it's talking about stories that were far older than just a couple thousand years ago.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But I just had to point that out
And
because.
the god of the underworld of the Egyptians.
Right. Yeah. But I just wanted to point that out to people that it is one and the same that they're talking about. That it is mentioned
Yeah.
in the Bible and how it's used in the Bible and stuff like that. I'm not trying to say go to the Bible and believe everything you read and whatever. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just showing a correlation of how it is written in documents and other scriptures and other writings and stuff, and how it's been handed down, through religion also, and not only just outside of religion, but in religion, It just has a different twist and a different tale to it, But it's all the same book, as far as I can gather.
Control.
Correct.
Same old piece of shit, just dressed up differently. That's all it is. Don't
Right.
don't fall into the
To the trap.
the religion
Yeah.
cult.
Right.
It is a cult. It is controlled.
Most of it is.
Every
Yeah.
aspect of it is controlled.
They
want your
thing-
money. That's all they want
Yeah.
is your money
Oh, yeah.
and your obedience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
Your
does God
obedience
need all
and your
this
money.
money?
Yeah.
That's it. God doesn't need this money. They're not there to help you. They're there to exploit you.
Exactly.
And that's
Right.
all religion is about. It's about exploitation. And they've just adopted and dressed up their line of thinking with far older, and in essence, they're demonizing, ancient literature by adding it to their own. So, and confusing it for the future generations who may be enlightened and will look back and, and just have this serious block of misinformation.
Right.
And remember, you're teaching your kids this stuff.
Right.
Not only are you teaching your kids this stuff, you're helping the establishment train your kids and
indoctrinate them
become
into
obedient.
Right.
That's right. When you tell your kids that Santa Claus is real and the Tooth Fairy is going to leave you $1 and that the Easter Bunny is going to ship some chocolate eggs out for you, you're lying to your kids. Your kids look to you as a role model, someone that they can absolutely trust.
Right.
But when you lie to your kids and they find out that trust has been lost and they're damaged and they're not going to trust you any longer, subconsciously they're not going to trust you because you broke that circle with them. So you're helping condition your kids. Instead of teaching them about tooth fairies, teach them how to meditate. Teach them about the Akashic Records. Teach them about astronomy. Teach them about energy, rather than fictitious, misinformation. Because when these kids grow up, they're going to teach their kids that, and then their kids going to teach their kids, and itty bitty little kids are going to teach their little kids, and the cycle evolves.
That's where I'm thankful. Looking back on my life, I am thankful for being born into the family that I was born into. I was. At some point, I believe I did have control as to what shoot I was going to go into to become, to run my avatar. Which one? where was I going to go? Who was I going to be? What family? Because I couldn't have come into a much finer family, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I didn't realize it when I was younger, but I was raised in a very sheltered environment. I was sheltered from the true evil doings of human beings.
Right.
Not that I was sheltered, wasn't raised in pretense or pretend world or anything like that. It's just I wasn't made. That was kept away from me, and I admire my family, my grandparents, and my mom and dad for doing that for me and my sister and giving us that world to grow up in, because that's what gave me the ability to have the insight that I have today. Because it was my grandmother, who sat down with me and talked to me about the mysteries of the pyramids and how they built. Who could possibly have built them?
Right.
They weren't put together one stacked on top of another. This is my grandmother. And then my dad. That's cool. My dad taught me about celestial navigation. He taught me about how to read the stars, how to not look at a star chart, but how to go out in the woods. And if I got lost, how could I find my way out at night?
Right.
How could I find my way? How to find my directions? By looking at the stars, being able to find the North Star.
Sure.
Being able to find the North Star. Being able to find other constellations to keep my bearings about me. At nighttime. Then he taught me about Tesla.
Cool.
Nobody in the 1960s. There was nobody teaching Tesla to anybody in any indoctrination university throughout the world. Nobody was learning about Tesla.
Right.
My dad taught me about Tesla and who he was, and I mean,
cool.
I would go. There were some times when I go, Dad, I'm so tired of hearing this. No, I don't want. No, not again. No.
That's
and
funny.
He would sit down with me and say, "Listen, you've got to listen to me. You've got to understand. This is important stuff here that is going to help you, to understand the world around you much better, than what you're being taught. Because what you're being taught is a bunch of bull crap. I'm telling you, this is what my dad taught me.
Sure.
So I had all these influences from an early age, from growing up and everything, So, and then it was my grandma. My grandma took me to see the movie Chariots of the Gods in 1970 when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
The book had been out for a couple of years. There was a movie that was made on it, and my grandma, she was totally engulfed into ancient archaeology and
Sure.
studying all that stuff, and so she took me to see Chariots of the Gods. I think I was 11 years old.
Wow.
11 or 12 when seeing that, and it changed my world forever.
Well, you know what? This is kind of funny. Is you don't hear anything on the ancient alien theory talk about these records or any such thing as this. It's if it is, it's very lightly covered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not very much.
It's not much at all talked about. And this is the kind of stuff that
shows conditioning as well.
Well, sure it is. Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
The program
Yep.
it sends your thoughts and your insight into things in one direction. They're one-dimensional. Everything was based upon ancient aliens. It was aliens that came here that taught human beings. No, we are the ancient aliens.
Right.
We human beings are the ancient aliens. We came here. We were colonized. We're the survivors of a human colonization of Earth that was all but wiped out by a cataclysmic event that took place about 13,000 years ago. And we've been rebuilding ever since, trying to figure out who we are, what we're here for. And along the way, we get all these other potentates and these leaders of countries who want to control the people, who want to find a better way to have the mousetrap.
Right.
They want to have a better mousetrap for the people, a better way to keep the people in control. And along the way, things have been changed, things have been opened up, things have been revolutionized. We've gone a long ways. We've gone extremely long ways. But we put too much theory into one-dimensional thinking. And that's like okay, saying Einstein. Okay. Now I'm not taking away from Einstein, but Einstein himself even told everybody. He told people to don't take his word for the absolute.
Right.
To search and try to find the true absolute. That his theories of now this is something that I've put a lot of thought and energy into this, but the theories of relativity are only relative to this dimension. So when you go to another dimension, now when you interdimensionalize and you go through those areas called the Einstein-Rosen bridge, where you open up that gateway, you're able to access that portal. You have to be able to have a gateway at the other side to match your combination that you're opening on this side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to be able to. So there's a theory. There's a theory of dimensions that we're going to have to learn to open ourselves up to be able to navigate through those Einstein-Rosen bridges. And this is something that, again, I put a lot of thought and theory into this, and I see it working. I can see it, how it's going to work. But until we're able to get our mindset out of this one-dimensional thinking and open ourselves up to being in another dimension, we have to think in the ways of another dimension.
But here comes that old saying, Tim. Here comes that old saying, we're only human.
Let me add to this, that 13,000-year timeline is a single event that took place, and it's the most recent event that has taken place.
There's many other ones going back.
But it's far older. This story, the human story, is far older than that.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree. We colonized this world after we terraformed it.
We go back,
and we've lived here.
Yeah.
We've lived here on this earth for hundreds of millions of years. There's lots of evidence to suggest that. And about 130,000 years ago, when the last ice age set in, when the last ice age set in, we went underground. The Hopi talk about that. A lot of other cultures talk about that across the planet.
Absolutely.
There's evidence of underground dwellings in huge cities. And 13,000 years ago, when the Younger Dryas impact happened, that gave the Earth the opportunity to begin to melt. And then when that melt began, the people that were underneath the ice, living in underground shelters, began coming out. And then at that time, there was a lot of knowledge lost. Just think, there's 3 generations for every 100 years. So if humanity is living underground for 100,000 years or 130,000 years, that's a lot of generations, and that's a lot of knowledge that's lost. So when people came out, you can clearly tell that rebuilding began because their ancestors were probably telling them that there's monuments above ground that are going to need touch-ups, and but because the technology was lost, you see it in Egypt, you see it in South America, you see it all over the planet, where you have megalithic building, and right beside it you have small boulders, little small rocks. In case of Egypt, they're using limestone, smaller blocks, almost bricks, compared to the granite that they were using that's 50 tons, 300 tons. So obviously there's 2 different cultures, that's civilizations that's happening. And the Egyptians, the dynastic Egyptians, the pharaohs and such that we know, they found these monuments and adopted them as their own and recycled them and attempted to use them as their own and tried graffiti on it, because there's a lot of evidence as well that there's scratches for writing on it that possibly the ancient Egyptians, the dynastic Egyptians, tried to mark on there, but they clearly didn't have the technology to carry out what the pre-dynastic civilization had. And this would be the pre-dynastic civilization that was forced to go underground due to a cosmic event that took place, or perhaps a global event, or there was a comet impact and the and the skies were covered, or there was a volcano that erupted and the Earth went into a miniature ice age. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that to 130,000 years ago. But then you have Klaus Donner's work. Klaus Donner's work, his out of place artifacts. That are dating back millions of years.
Millions of
other
years.
artifacts that are dating back to 300 million years, 500 million years. But not only that, that there's an ancient nuclear mine in South Africa where they found spheres that have perfect lines, double lines etched on the circumference of these beads, and that's dating back to 2 billion years. So humanity has been here for a very, very, very long time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Very long time. If we take into consideration of the Vedic teachings and of Philip Lindsay's work, we're looking at a minimum of 150 million years here on this earth. Through root races, the Atlantean root race, and then from there we've broken down to the current subroot race that we're in right now. And then after us, there's going to be other races that are going to come along. So we're just a chain of events that are, taking place that are far, out of our physical control, but spiritually, we have access to it all. We can go to any time that we want, whether it's in this dimension or another dimension. It doesn't matter. You have no limitations. So humanity, when people tell you that it's only 12, 13,000 years old, it's not that humanity began 12, 13,000 years ago. It's the fact that we rebooted 12, 13,000 years ago, and we emerged from the ground, just like the Hopi tell us. We emerged from the ground, and then we began our civilization again because we were almost wiped out. But due to smart thinking of our ancestors, we went underground and created all these caverns across the planet, and that's clear evidence of underground dwelling. And some of these cities could hold like 30,000 people, 50,000 people, live cattle. We don't know how long these people inhabited those underground cities because of the fact that information is lost. Just think, 3 generations, 100 years, and if you're underground for 130,000 years, that's a lot of generations. Imagine trying to, pass a message off to your son, and what would that be? 390,000 generations from now. Do you think your message would make it that far?
Who knows?
Probably not.
Probably
right?
not. Yeah.
Or it's going to be extremely garbled.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to look at things on a realistic line as being real, and stop worrying about and thinking about or including, the dogma that they try to teach us through and through, because that's all part of conditioning.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta put the pieces together.
Sure.
And then once you begin to put the pieces together, and you're meditating, and you're getting downloads, and you're being connected to the universe, back to your grassroots, then you'll begin to see the corruption, the scale of it, and how you were involved in it, and how you can break away from it and begin to contribute to help unplug other people.
Right.
Because that's your responsibility. But this comes with a curse as well. All is not good being enlightened. Yeah, because you're enlightened, your life just got that much more difficult.
Exactly,
Because
you're
now
being
you have
attacked.
more responsibility.
Yes.
But not only that, you're aware of what's happening around you. You're aware of what you're eating, so your diet suffers. Because I'm not going to eat potato chips.
People.
I used to like potato chips. And I found out that I can't eat potato chips now because they're using some kind of a chemical agent that's connected to cancer.
Yep.
So I gave up eating potato chips. So, my life isn't being affected. I used to love potato chips, but now I don't eat it, because if I did eat it, then how can I say that I'm somewhat enlightened? Because what I've learned, I'm not using that knowledge. So I'm going to use that knowledge. So now my life suffers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I think about everything that's happening, and and I'm seeing it from outside the box now.
Right.
Kind of like Neo from Matrix.
Right.
Seeing it from the outside, and it's not all rainbows and donuts. Being enlightened. And you're going to lose a lot of friends.
That's the truth.
Well, I have my dark side to that part is having to deal with people. Some people just don't get it. They just don't get it, and they want to get it. They want to understand it, but they just can't get it. You can't get it into their head. You can't get them to look at it in a different, because you have to change what it involves. Oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes it involves being able to change the person's
they're just simply not ready.
outlook, taking the blinders off.
Gail says make your own potato chips. Yeah, I like that.
You have kids, and you're going to try to teach your kids something, and they're just not going to get it. So you don't become frustrated with them. You just show patience, and more patience, and more patience, and more patience, and eventually they will get it.
Right.
But you can't take it personal.
No,
exactly.
I know. I've learned that. I've learned that I cannot take things personally like that. I can't.
You just have to be patient with people and allow them to progress and learn at their own level. And as you're learning and you're finding the information, all you can do is just share it with those people. And through shows like this, you can articulate your thinking as to how you're thinking throughout your posts.
Sure.
And people get a deeper insight as to what you're thinking about and how you're thinking about it. And possibly that may help them, or it may not help them. Who knows? But that really doesn't matter, because as long as it's helping you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing that our energies come together on this platform here, where we're at right here at this moment. I want to thank you, Clarence, for giving us the opportunity to have this.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad I could do it.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And we just, in order for us to stand out, we have to stand up first.
Sure.
And we have to shout it from the rooftops. We have to, make this open to people, and it's not that hard.
Right.
It's like what's your name, Omar?
Yeah, he dropped here, so hopefully he'll call back here real quick. I'm hoping anyway.
Oh.
But.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
I can't express enough that we need to have somewhere to go to to talk about things like this,
Right.
to open up, channels of diversity,
Mhm.
and to give people another way of looking at things, another way of understanding the world around us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's not to harm people; it's to help them.
Yep.
And
Totally.
that's the main thing. I will never do anything to direct anybody in a way that will bring about any harm to them whatsoever. But it's not for the faint of heart. I'll say that much.
Right.
Because you have to be able to allow yourself to have your world rocked.
Exactly.
You're gonna rock people's world.
Yeah.
You're gonna rock their worlds.
Cool.
But
Hey, we got about a half an hour left here. We got 3 callers here. Let's see if we can get these guys booted up here real quick. We're going to try, I think this is Johnny. We're going to try him again. Johnny, you with us here, bud?
Hello.
There he is. How you doing, buddy?
hey, Johnny.
I'm good.
Good. Cool. Johnny, if you hang on there, I'm going to leave you open on the line there. Hang on a minute. I got 2 more here I want to bring up. This is a 757 area code.
Right.
I'm not sure who this is. Hello, caller. You with us? 757 area code. Hello. Okay. Maybe they're just listening in. Okay. Well, we'll put them back on hold. And 631, I think I know who this is. I believe this is Mr. Sid. Mr. Sid, is this you, sir?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. My goodness. Long time no hear, huh?
All right.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Good deal.
How you guys been?
Good. We also, we got one more here I want to bring in. This is a 253 number. I'm not sure who this is. Let's see here. Hello, caller. You with us?
Yeah, that's me, Clarence.
Oh, there you go. Different number, same guy.
Oh,
Cool. Okay.
No, my phone died.
I kind of figured that's
I
what
had to call
happened. Yeah. Cool.
Skype.
So, okay, we got Johnny with us, and we got Sid with us, and the 757, I'm not sure who that is, but, we didn't get any answer there, so. But, so what's going on there, guys?
Clarence. You tried to pick me up earlier. I was calling from my tablet at that time, and I found out the mic on the headphones I was using wasn't working. So
Okay. Well, you're kind of garbly.
phone now.
Yeah. Okay, because you're kind of garbly a little bit there, but that's okay. We can hear you. So, good deal.
Can you hear me, Clarence?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good job.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good.
Hey, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I got you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Cool.
Okay, good deal. Sid, what's new, bud?
Oh, just been doing a lot of research lately
Mm-hmm.
on dating methods and certain type of scientific processes.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it does point toward studying evolution. Is the only way to really realize how if it's flawed or not. And it seems that way. It seems even the dating methods I've noticed it's hard to really date anything. It's like there's a big mystery.
Mhm.
Some scientists are open about it.
Right.
The main thing that kind of destroyed a lot of dating processes is a few incidents that happened. One was a fossil was being moved, a large fossil, and the truck crashed, and the fossil broke in half, revealing soft tissue.
Mm.
So, yeah, the fossil was, supposedly dated to, millions of years,
Right.
50, 100, 200 million, but we know that blood and tissue matter, it cannot survive that long. It won't even survive 1 million years. So,
Right.
it really throws a wrench into things that dinosaurs, most likely could either still have existing or, were existing fairly not so long ago.
Right.
And I also found hieroglyphs of what looked to be like plesiosaurs, like what would be the Loch Ness monster on Egyptian stuff.
Yeah.
That Mount St. Helens.
Right.
Yeah, that's another one. That shows us that the Grand Canyon could have been formed within a day.
Right.
So a lot of see, this is the problem. A lot of researchers want their cake; they want to eat it too. But it's really looking like the Earth was created in a shorter amount of time. Like there's a lot of Christian researchers and biblical scholars that have proven stuff. When I look at it, I said, yeah, without a doubt, these dates of these large dates could be totally wrong. The world could have actually been created in a quick way. There's granite that are showing isotope datings where they were formed almost immediately because the element that would decay takes seconds to decay, but is present in certain granite rocks. Scientifically proven that those rocks, those mountains, could have been created almost instantaneously.
Wow.
Mount St. Helens, I was very amazed. I mean, these were geologists that were staunch evolutionists that eventually just said, look, this science is not right.
Right.
I asked people, well, how, it's like you're telling me a puddle made a cell all of a sudden, DNA just popped up. It's just, it's not scientific, so it's really looking like a much younger Earth, and it's also looking as if like the strata of Earth, it would logically seem when you look at the Grand Canyon strata, you would think, okay, the stuff at the bottom is older than the stuff at the top. And Mount St. Helens eruption 30 years ago proves that totally wrong. It proves that can be created in one day, in a few hours, 5 hours. I mean, they're finding, peat bogs with coal that have been forming, in only 3 decades, when we're told it takes millions of years, and, I'm like, wow, this is real science, but the problem is it coincides too much with scriptures, ancient scriptures, like, biblical scriptures, scriptures from other religions, and they don't like that.
Right.
So, I've been really immersed in that type of research. That's why I haven't really been around for a while.
Oh, that's cool.
They say that lake emptied out, so the dam gave out, and the water began, the basin began emptying, and that's how the Grand Canyon was created.
That's
story
one of
we
them.
were told.
Yeah.
That's the story we're told, but Mount St. Helens shows us scientifically what happened. So if we can either believe the fairy tale, or we can look at the science showing that strata can make immediately from an eruption. Sure. And then when we look at the whole Seattle, Washington area of the coulees, and it looks like a gigantic flood. It looks like there was not just floods, that took out part of North America. It really points toward a worldwide flood.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. Now, some people believe that the Grand Canyon was actually produced during a war, basically between two earthly planets or whatever, and the reason why they say that is because there's only one Grand Canyon on the face of the earth. How come there's not 2 or 3? Which it's a good question, but we don't know what's underneath the ocean either. You know what I'm saying? We know that we know about the what's the trench there that
Mariana Trench.
Yeah, the Mariana Trench. Look how deep that thing is. Whatever. So, but there's new mountains and stuff like that, but there's no new Grand Canyons. So that's basically what people are saying. Which is funny because Lee just said that. But anyway, But some people believe that that was created during a cosmic event, during a war. We were nuked or whatever, and that's how that slash got put in there. I'm not so sure on the whole thing.
Well, that's what I'm going to hit on just real quickly. That because of the closeness to crater to meteor crater in Arizona, there in Winslow, Arizona.
Uh-huh.
I believe that when that meteor hit, it cracked the crust.
That could be.
This is my theory. This is my theory.
Very well could be.
That the crust cracked, and where the crust cracked at was along the northern edge of the arc around the crater.
Mm-hmm.
The northern edge of that, the ground was loosened up, and then at the same time, and geologically speaking, within just a few years, you had a lake. It was either a glacial lake that was forming after the ice age that let loose and allowed a great wall of water to come down. This is one theory that I've come up with, that washout of that water coming down washed out the area of the Grand Canyon, formed the Grand Canyon within a matter of days.
Right.
It wasn't millions of years. It was formed in a matter of days, and that erosion over the last few millennia, have formed a lot of the area that we go ooh and ah about.
Right.
But the actual crevice itself, because there's no other geological spot on Earth that even comes close to the Grand Canyon.
No.
Well, I'll say it won't come close. There's one in Jordan. There's one canyon in Jordan. There's another canyon. There's two canyons in Colorado. There's one along the Gunnison, the Black Canyon of the Gunnison, in southwestern Colorado.
Yeah.
And then in south central Colorado, you have Royal Gorge.
Right.
That's a canyon that was formed by the Arkansas River that formed the highest suspension bridge up until a few years ago. That was the highest suspension bridge in the world.
Right.
Over the Royal Gorge in Colorado. I believe it's 1,053 feet, 1,037 feet, something like that, to the river below. It's the highest. There's one in China now, I think, China or somewhere in Asia, that they built a higher bridge. But it's still in that pretty. It's still an awesome thing to go see, though.
Right.
But there's few other canyons around, but nothing on the scale. Nothing on the scale of the Grand Canyon.
Right.
I mean, the Grand Canyon is 135 miles long, over 10 miles wide in some spots, and a mile deep. I mean, come on.
Well, I think also what formed the Grand Canyon could have formed the Mediterranean Sea. What the Mediterranean Sea didn't do was drain out totally.
Right.
But the Grand Canyon seemed to drain out, where if you look at the bottom, if you have a flat bottom or a V-shaped bottom, which you see in a lot of the Grand Canyon, it suggests strongly that it was formed quickly with rapidly flowing water.
Right.
If it was carved out the way the fairy tale that they tell us, we wouldn't see those signs. And the funniest thing is tests. You can see these tests online from scientists in Europe, where they recreate these situations, and you see the dirt actually start to settle in layers. It's absolutely amazing. Then we can just look at the Mount St. Helens as well.
Right.
So it seems, I would say there was probably a series of floods, and if you combine it with religious scriptures, it seems as if there were, that massive flood destroyed a lot of life on Earth and subsided eventually because, and I mean covering everything, because on every mountain range on the planet, not just America, but the Americas, Africa, Asia, Australia, you will find marine deposits.
Right.
And they try to say, the continents went up and down, of course, billions of years, so we can't, you can't observe it. But a logical explanation is if there was an entirely worldwide inundated flood, that marine fossils would be found on mountaintops, which is what we see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and at Grand Canyon,
Right.
at Grand Canyon, you have slabs of material, sediment that's been left behind. It looks like there would have been a huge wave that came in, deposited, receded, and then a new wave came in, deposited material, and receded, because you have one slab after another. And they're pretty thick slabs of
But
different...
the only problem with that, the only problem with that is that we can do the experiment, and it does seem like that at first. I think that's called superimposition.
Right.
But if you do the test, like Mount St. Helens, those deposited layers can be all at once. There was an eruption at Mount St. Helens that deposited over 15 layers, which superimposition would say, well, you know, it was a wave, it came back, it was a wave. This happened immediately. All at once within 5 hours.
Yep.
It settled, it sectioned itself off into what the geologists, you can see geologists that have converted totally to creationism. And I'm not saying that I'm a creationist, but I'm definitely not an evolutionist. And it proved it. It proved that, you know, and then also it proves just the genetic structure of humans and animals that we've been created. You know, we've been created by something. All life has been created. Why would people lie? Why would people say that we're 2% away from a chimpanzee? And then when I look at the studies, you find out that they took out 30% of the different DNA. So we are actually about 30% different from a chimpanzee.
Sure.
But people wanted to think the evolutionary fairy tale.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Well, it's the dumbing down of people. That's what it is. You know, we were set up, you know, by these mainstream scientists, whoever. It's like a clique. You know, this is why you won't find any of them backlashing on these dates and stuff, because they'll be outcasted. You know, they're no longer part of that that thing. You know, there are a few good ones out there that are coming forward now and saying, hey, you know, we got to back this stuff up and rewrite history. But there's very few and far between, you know. But they were set in place to basically keep us blind and lied to and whatever, you know.
Exactly.
And that's, you know, it's sad,
The
but that's...
religion of evolution.
Sure.
Well, it's a continuation of what I like to call the Spanish Inquisition. You will believe what we say. We will believe what we tell
Right,
you.
yeah.
Pound it into their heads and nothing else. If nothing else, take a mallet and pound it into their head.
Right.
Literally, you know.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Sure.
You know?
You either believe it or it won't work.
They scared us into submission. They scared the people into submission to believe what they were saying was the truth, when it was absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Pardon the phrase, but that's exactly what it was. It was bullcrap. There was nothing truth about what they were saying except for the being able to keep people in control. Mm-hmm. Because once these peasants realize their true potential, we will not ever be able to control them again. So we must keep them in line.
But you know what's funny now?
So
you know what's really funny, though, is this day and age, look at all the new evidence that's coming out and coming forward that they can't dispute now. You know, the out-of-place artifacts and stuff like that now, all of a sudden that, you know, your common man is digging up and going, what is this? You know, they're going, yeah. Oops, you weren't supposed to find that, you know. Yeah, I mean, you know, so that's what's happening. And slowly but surely, you know, the truth is actually coming out. And there's not, once it starts, which it has, there's not much that's going to stop it now. You know, I think it's going to keep on going. At least I'm hoping it does. You know, that's the main thing.
Well, I think we're going to find out where the true evil in this world comes from.
Well, I think we know that. I mean,
closer and closer.
You know,
that day is coming closer and closer to what the true evils are in the world.
I think we know that. I think a lot of it is, Tim, that we need to get back to our individualities. I think people need to, you know, get back into their self-awareness and into their
see,
self-condition,
You can't let people. You can't set people on their own to to go through
Well,
that because they become lost along the way.
right.
So you have to have some little backup plan for them to keep them going in the right direction.
Well, that's what we're here
to
for.
let
I mean,
them
that's
know.
that's what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
We help
That's
people
right. I
along.
hear you.
We try to teach. We try to show the path or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes my path is not the right one either. I mean, I could be totally off base 100%. But it's not the same path as what I was on earlier. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
we bounce off each other. I mean, that's how it works. But
this road of life that I've been on has taken so many twists and turns.
sure,
If I knew
and it's
that
going
I
to keep
was gonna
going.
get where I'm at today,
Yeah,
30 years ago,
absolutely.
I would have done things a lot differently.
Yeah.
If I would have known where I'm at today, that I was going to be where I'm at today 30 years ago.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
I know. I never would have thought it either.
I,
What science really leaves out, and also a lot of research, is that it really seems like they forget about the spirit part, or if somebody wants to call it the mind, or the non-physical part of us, which is a real part. One person, an atheist, was trying to debate me, and I told him, listen, if I dissect you, am I really going to find out about you? No, I'm going to see what your physical body is, but I'm not going to know you. What
Right.
I'm speaking to right now is not part of your physical body,
Right.
because if we dissect the person, we will not find that. And it really does seem like what matters the most in this physical existence is our behavior, because the one thing is the material world, which is what we're trying to explain, and with what's happening on Earth, from archaeology and everything. But then we look at the spiritual universe, or the spirit verse, and it is real. I mean, we could actually be using the body as a receiver.
That's what we were.
broadcast
That's what this
wherever-
show.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
signal is coming from.
Yeah, that's what this show was about tonight.
Oh, my.
Absolutely.
Sid, I have missed having your conversations with you, man. I have really
Same
missed you,
here.
man.
Same here, man.
Yeah, that's just what this show was talking about tonight with the Akashic Records. That's exactly what we were talking about. It's pretty cool. Good
Wow.
deal.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's
this body's just a vehicle. Yeah.
Yep. And there's so much more for us to know. One theory I found in, I think it was Vedic text from a while ago, was they spoke about how a spirit verse is what created the material universe to inhabit it. So when you look at it in that way, it really supports the non-material world, and evolution and certain things gets us to want to only think that there is the material world. So
Right.
Your behavior and actions are just a natural process, which when studied, it just doesn't make sense, because animals are not going to kill off a totally, their food source, because then they go extinct. So
Right. Yeah.
there's something that clearly separates man from the other animals. I mean, we have like a consciousness. And then when we do look at animals, we can see, animals can feel. Plants are amazing. We're in like a garden. It really seems like it's like a closed environment. And here we are.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at all these videos you see
life
now.
on Earth so diverse.
Yeah.
Life here on Earth should not be taken for granted, because the diversity of life here is beyond imagination. In
Sure.
other parts of the universe, there's life on other planets, but there's very little planets that have as much life as abundant as there is on Earth. That's just what I have to say on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you look at an octopus,
What's that,
or a
John?
rhinoceros, right?
Oh, yeah.
We can imagine a dragon a lot easier than we can imagine an octopus. And a dragon we don't find, but an octopus we do. And an octopus is much more weird. You look at a chameleon that can change colors, an octopus that can change colors and shape. And I gave a lecture a few years ago.
Cuttlefish.
Oh my good, masters of camouflage. Yeah, cuttlefish are amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
This is unbelievable. there's some type of there's an intelligence going on there that's beyond our comprehension. There is just absolute intelligence there that's
Yep. No, you're totally right. And when I think about it, I look at ant colonies, and in all ant colonies, there are mimics. So there are spiders that look just like ants, that mimic the ants and pick off the ants. Why wouldn't there be humans that look just like humans?
Sure.
That aren't human.
There are.
That are hiding within the...
There are.
Yeah,
there are.
And that's...
The shapeshifters.
Wasn't there a movie called The Body Snatchers?
Exactly.
Wasn't that movie called The Body Snatchers based on that?
Yeah, it was.
The Body Snatchers could actually be a plant type of form that could make mimics of humans.
Yeah.
And then like movies like Mimic, there's a movie called Mimic where bugs actually grew to where they could camouflage themselves as a human with a long trench coat being the wings. And and then there's, the fact is that we see this in nature. So it's not just a theory, because it actually exists where there are predators like spiders that prey on the ants. Then there are mimics that are crickets and beetles. They don't prey on the ants, but they hide within the ant colonies to protect themselves from the ants and also from other predators, because it's as if a human mimic would hide within our colony, because the predator knows that humans, once we know something exists, will chase it across the town like, Frankenstein with torches until we kill it. Yeah. So it hides, acting like one of us. Then there's those maybe vampiric type predators that look like humans as well, that pick us off every now and then. And then you got to wonder who created or what team created all of this.
Well,
that's a serious question.
That's the creator of good and the creator of evil. I mean, and people ask me about that. Well, don't you believe in one creator? No, I don't. I believe in a couple, maybe even 3 or 4, because I believe in different races of species of identities. So I think every species has its own creator, and I think that they're good and bad, and they were both here on Earth and have been, and they come back and forth. That's my whole deal on that. So it very well could be.
It could be more than one creator. I would think that it would be a team or a faction. Because if you look at, like, say, automobiles. An automobile changes every year, but there's a team of designers behind that automobile.
Same thing.
And
same thing.
When you look at, humans, now, if humans couldn't interbreed, I might say, okay, it's a different, species. But the fact that we can, and we see that no matter what purebred human a person is, a person that is blended actually has a stronger attributes. And this is why ancient tribes would want their daughter to marry the son of this other tribe to diversify the genetic gene pool. If we look at populations that have problems, it's from the stagnation and the inbreeding of the human organism to the point where they start getting diseases and genetic retro problems and mutations. Because a mutation, I tell people, when you look at evolution or you look at science, mutation is a synonym for damaged. So nothing mutates and becomes better. It mutates and it becomes damaged. The only cases where something mutates to become damaged and lives is when something like a virus attacks it. The mutation alters the genetic structure of the organism, so the virus can't get it, but it's damaged now. So when studying biology and the real origins of life, no real scientists can really say where we come from. We're really not sure, and that's just the physical part once again. What about the non-physical part? Because that's another part of us. It's like they say in Egyptian lore that the physical body is created, and then there's a spiritual body that's created to implant it. Now, they have pictures and, pictures carved in stone, actually, of this hieroglyphs of a small man on a potter's wheel with 2 different types of beings, the so-called gods, but not human.
Right.
You know, they look humanoid, but they are clearly not human. One has, I think, one is Khnum with like a ram's head or a goat's head. The other is an amphibian goddess-looking type of creature. Then there's a creature with two heads. It looks like two snake heads intertwined, like the caduceus, with
60 seconds.
and next to that is a pharaoh. So it looked like the hieroglyphs were saying whatever these creators were implanted a certain type of brain into the genetically modified pharaohs, possibly.
Right.
And if you look at people that rule countries, it's as if they have a link to something else that is telling them what to do to basically destroy the planet that's giving us the life, you know, for the physical body right now.
Yeah. Hey guys, I hate to say this, but I already got my 60-second warning. Unbelievable. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another show tomorrow night, same time, 6 o'clock Central Time. So I would
10 seconds.
definitely invite everybody back that's on here tonight, and you know, we can pick this up and keep it going. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
Well, thanks for having me on, Clary.
You're very welcome. Yep, Omar, it's always a pleasure. Tim,
Yeah.
you know, great hearing everybody. Sid and John, everybody.
Thanks, man.
I really appreciate it.
Dude,
Hey, Mr.
nice meeting you
Thank
guys.
you, good.
So,
All right.
You hear me?
Thanks, man.
Thanks everyone.
I got a question. Tim, is your number still the same?
Yeah.
You're not, hang on, like, I'm looking it up real quick. It's saved it in my phone. I don't know how to save it in my phone. 479-670-2951.
Yep, that's it.
cool.
All right. All right, I'll just call you later. That way you can have my number.
All right. Okay, folks. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodnight. And, you know, in the meantime, like I said, we'll do up another show tomorrow night, same time, 6 o'clock. Hey, guess what? No drops tonight. Everything ran very well. I'm rather impressed. So hopefully, you know, we can keep this thing going. So I want to wish you all a very good night, and, you know, have a good weekend and whatever you're doing tomorrow and stuff. So I just want to say good evening, everybody. And, you know, keep your eyes to the skies. And until we meet again, thank you all and have a great evening.
I want to thank you all for listening to Closer Encounters. Please remember to like, follow, and share. And until we meet again, keep your eyes to the skies. Thank you.